and their professional team should not struggle to find great options for deferring capital gains taxes. Don't let your failure to plan become your plan to fail, especially when the Deferred Sales Trust might be one of your very best ways to exit your highly appreciated assets and defer the capital gains taxes so that you can continue to grow your wealth. I'm your host today. I'm Jessica Lanning. I'm filling in for Brett Swarts. Each episode, we are joined by some of the leading wealth advisors, business and real estate experts, and leadership specialists so that they can share their ideas, tell their deal stories, and share their inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Our next guest leveraged a Bachelor of Science degree from UCLA and highest accolades in his sales career for LoopNet CoStar to buy his first property and learn the power of passive investing and building long-term wealth through real estate. Now he uses real estate syndication to help investors achieve financial freedom. As an immigrant from Taiwan, he is motivated to take care of his family and give back to those who helped him along the way. Please welcome Jim Lee of Formosa Investing to the podcast. Welcome, Jim. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me on the show, Jessica.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So why don't you, let's let the audience get to know you a little bit. Please tell us a little bit about your story and your current focus.
Yeah, sure. Just like as you described, I graduated from UCLA back in 2010 with an economics degree. My first job out of the college was in inside sales, working at LoopNet CoStar. For those that don't know, LoopNet is basically commercial real estate for Zillow. Zillow for commercial real estate. And so I worked there pretty much, most of my life. Learned the importance of having multiple stream of income by just talking to investor, real estate agent, lenders, and property manager on a daily basis. And from there, I acquired my first 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo. And then I got my realtor license, wanted to find my own deal. And in the process of doing that, I also decided to make a career out of it by selling real estate. And then I found out that wasn't a good fit. During lockdown, when I didn't have the opportunity to go out to host open house to find leads, I started studying syndication by listening to podcasts, go on YouTube and educate myself. And and that's how I started doing syndication.
Excellent. So to help our audience get to know you even a little bit better, one of the things that we like to do here at the Capital Gains Solutions podcast, Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, is to talk about your special gift. What's your superpower? We believe that everybody has a superpower here on the planet that helps others, that is a way to give back, to make the world a better place. What's your superpower? What's your special gift?
I would say that is the superpower, what you just related to. I think the biggest thing for me is that I love giving back in any way I can, not just on a monetary value per se, but in any way I can. So whenever I make a good chunk of money, I always make 10% donation, first of all. And then second, I always put myself out there to volunteer for communities, for real estate networking events and so forth. And lastly, I think it all comes down from my taking care of my family, because as an immigrant moving from Taiwan to United States, my parents had to sacrifice a lot just so that we can be here. And so I take that to heart, and I work really hard to want to be able to provide and give back everything they've given me.
Wonderful. So today we're going to talk about lessons learned from real estate syndication. So talk to us a little bit about what's your biggest lesson in putting together your syndicate and helping others and teaching them to grow wealth. What have you learned? What would you say have been your biggest lessons?
My biggest lesson since I became a syndicator is definitely networking. I think in my 20s, I struggled with the concept of putting myself out there and network with others, build strong relationships, start to establish that connection early on. That's one thing I definitely regret not doing when I was younger, but it's also because it's one of those things that, I'm an introvert and I'm very shy. So that's why I started as an inside sales career, just stay in the office, making dials and not need to have to go out and meet people face to face. So as through syndication, I wasn't good at it as a realtor. And then when I came across syndication, you need to do network even more. So that was where I had to really change my mindset and get comfortable being uncomfortable and putting myself out there.
So that's fascinating. So I'm introverted as well. So let's talk about that a little bit. Where do you think being introvert actually helps you in your syndication process?
I think, I realize as I go out and attend these networking events and join mastermind groups, there's actually a good amount, maybe even more than 50% of the people out doing what I'm doing. They're all introverts as well. And it's when you surround yourself with like-minded people and you realize there are so many people just like you, and there's no excuse at that point. If there's all these introverts doing what I'm doing, putting themselves out there by going on creating podcasts, writing newsletters and so forth, and constantly going out to network, there's, to me, it's just I just don't think it's an excuse I can always throw to my it's not good for me to always come up with an excuse to give me a reason why I can't do it.
And your investors, what do you think they appreciate about you in terms of being an introvert?
I think it's my transparency, the ability to get on a personal level. Since I have more time than most syndicator out there, right as of today, since I just started, I think I have the ability to give my time to each and one of my investor, explain the process, educate them, nurture them, and be there for them every step of the way. And so I think that's what definitely separates me from being the other syndicator.
And what deals are you looking for your syndicate?
What deals?
Yeah, what kind of deals? Commercial, residential? Like what,
sure.
what are you targeting?
So we target 100 plus unit multifamily, value add buildings that's built in 1970s, so class C value add buildings, and we typically hold the property for 5 years.
And is your plan to pick up properties that need to be rehabbed and sell them? Are you looking for something that's more plug and play? Where is your focus?
Yeah, so value add is basically everything you just described. It's to acquire this building because it's mismanaged, right? The workflow isn't efficient, or there could be amenities that we can add, build. Let's say, for example, laundry facility, make it everything all digital instead of coin based. Adding gym, sauna, pool, stuff like that, renovating the units. So that's why we hold it for 5 years, because in the span time, not only does the property appreciate faster than residential, but we're also adding value year after year to increase the income. Because when you add value, you can increase rent. Once you increase rent, that's income goes up and price goes up.
Sure. And who are your clients? What's your ideal investor look like?
My ideal investor would look like someone who would recognize my business name, which is Formosa Investing. Formosa, a little background on that is just it's back in 1500, Portuguese discovered Taiwan, the island where I'm from, the island before Taiwan was even given the name Taiwan, and they named it the Beautiful Island. So ever since then, Taiwanese took that as pride. And when they see my logo, my brand, they recognize that. So Taiwanese investor, that's my niche.
Okay, very good. And any particular age range or how much they want to invest? Any other demographics that are important to you?
Yeah, the age range is anywhere between 30 to 50. I think that's definitely my avatar. And it doesn't, to me, there's not a set a way to make money. I mean, I've gotten business owners who's invest in my deals. I've gotten engineers, doctors. So it just they all come from different sorts of background. I just created this brand, this logo, just so that I can focus on my niche to get more people to relate to where I'm from, where I come, what I do, and it's just easier for them to build on an audience.
Yeah, that's great. I did not know that about Taiwan and Formosa. That's terrific.
Mhm.
So what happens at the end of the 5 years? What do you plan to do with the properties that you acquire?
We tend to sell it. So the way how it works is that the business plan, the way how we project our performance is you get 8% preferred cash on cash. I'm just giving you an example. And then you typically get 2x equity multiple at the end of 5 years. So what that means is that each year, if you invest 100,000, you'll get 8,000 passive income. And then at the end of the 5 year hold, we'll sell the property and get you 2x of your money back. So if you invest 100, you get 200,000. So you can look at roughly 28% return every year.
And I lost my train of thought. It's going to come back to me. So you don't intend to reinvest the proceeds necessarily in a 1031 exchange. You plan to just sell that property. And if an investor wants in on the next deal, they just go in separately. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, they have all the options on the table. They can either for most investors, from my understanding, right, just through my business partner's experience, he said that most investors, once you make them that much money, they don't want to leave anymore. They want to continue to reinvest. So you brought up a good point. 1031 exchange is usually what we do. We tend to re-leverage the money that we make. Since now we have double the money, if you continue to invest with us, we'll either seek out two different opportunities or invest in a bigger deal so that you'll generate more cash, bigger cash flow and bigger equity multiple down the line.
Talk to me a little bit, and we were talking about this before we started recording today, about how, when investors have property now and they want to 1031 into a syndicate like yours, we were talking about the frustrations with that. Can you talk a little bit about that for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically when you invest into a syndication deal, you invest, it's the commercial property that we're purchasing as a group is under LLC. So you'll invest your money into that LLC and you get a piece of that equity of the commercial property, the LLC. When it comes to 1031 exchange, the process does get kind of very tedious. There's a lot of paperwork involved. And I've seen it go as long as 2-3 months, the process to make the whole thing work. And a lot of 1031 exchange investors sometimes back out because there's so much involved and they just don't have time to deal with that. But not only that, what I was going to say is that as a syndicator, we typically the investment amount is between 75 to 100,000, but for 1031 exchange, we require 500,000 minimum. Just because like I said, there's a process. So it's possible to invest 500,000, and when you do invest into the syndication, you're not going to invest into the LLC. You're going to be separate. I mean, you're going to be set up as a TIC, tenant in common, and that's how usually it works.
Yeah, that's our experience here. So, at Capital Gains Tax Solutions, we're helping people figure out how to continue to defer their capital gains taxes so they can continue to grow their wealth over time. And one of the things that we're discovering is that this 1031 is just so frustrating for people, right? There's timelines to meet and paperwork to do. And now I can't really seem to 1031 into the exact kind of investment that I want. And so that's what we're doing here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions, is showing people how to use a deferred sales trust, continue to defer their capital gains. And then if they want to, and the details of this are, more complicated than I want to get into in this podcast, but it does allow, sellers who are now having their money held in a deferred sales trust to go into an LLC with the trustee and actually be able to invest in things like other real estate syndicates. So I love what you're doing, and I hear your frustration on the 1031. And if anybody's listening to this, you can go to lanningfinancial.com. That's me. I'm Jessica Lanning. Or the capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, and mention that you heard this little snippet on the podcast, and we would be happy to have a conversation with you about that. Okay, are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, if you don't mind, I can add another thing that your audience can check out. is something called the opportunity zone. I'm not sure if
Yes.
you've heard of that. Okay.
Mhm.
If you have, then, that's another way of 1031 exchange. I mean, it's not 1031 exchange, but it's a way to avoid capital gains tax
Right.
by
It's another way
investing
to,
in,
yep, to
opportunity
defer
zone.
them and make a
Mhm.
long-term investment and then be able to shelter that capital gains. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very popular
Okay.
in syndication as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've talked to a couple people about that.
Mhm.
All right. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yep. Go for it.
Okay. What's your favorite book that you've read or gifted in the last year?
My favorite book? That's a very good question. If I have to talk about something that currently, it's definitely The Power Connector. Let me show you this right here. I try to focus on reading books that's current with the stuff that I'm working on. For example, this book talks about how your social network provides the opportunity for people to accomplish together what would be difficult or impossible for them to do individually, right? So every strategic connection provides more opportunities for your business, and like a lever, it magnifies the effectiveness of your efforts, right? And which ultimately is what syndication is. Every connection, realtor, lender, property manager, investor, is crucial to your success of your overall business.
And who wrote the book? Hold it back up again.
Yeah, sure. It's Judy Robnett.
Judy Robinette. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite leadership quote or a theme that you strive to live by?
I guess like one of my favorite quote would be from what I saw at UCLA in a gymnasium. There's a big quote written by John Wooden. He's like really, really famous out at UCLA. He, won a lot of championships with UCLA. He wrote on the gymnasium, "Champions are made when no one's watching."
Oh, that's great. I'd forgotten about that one. Yeah, big fan of Jim Wooden. Okay, if you imagine you could go back in time, and I'll let you pick whatever time frame that you want, because there's a part of me that really wants to ask you about your 11-year-old self that immigrated here, but let's see, you can even use your 18-year-old self or 25-year-old self. If you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself?
I get asked this question all the time. So definitely be open-minded. I think that's very crucial in every stage of your life. And what I mean by that is just, I think I needed, if I were to go back and tell my young self, I would change my attitude about trying new things. I used to be very close-minded, and as I got older, I've learned that it's always better to look at, the other side of the coin. To me, there are actually three sides to a coin, right? There's heads, tails, and the edge. And if you can stay on the edge, you'll be able to learn the most.
I love that analogy. Okay, what are you most curious about right now?
What am I most curious about? I guess just like everybody else, right? What's going on with the economy? where are we heading?
Yeah, where are we going exactly?
Yeah.
Listen, you've had a lot of great success in your career or careers, if you want to think about your sales career. Now you're one as a syndicator. What is the one habit that you try to practice daily or weekly, which helps you to stay centered in your values and keeps you moving forward in your new goals?
I think something that I try to practice every day is definitely always exercise and always be reading. So I try to wake up 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning just so I can get that out of the way, keep my mind fresh, and keep my day upbeat and efficient. And then that's a habit I try to create even on weekends too. But it gets difficult, especially if you're on vacation and so forth.
What was it? Champions are made when people aren't looking.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's those
5 in the
people,
morning, nobody's looking. Listen, Jim, thanks so much for being on the show. And I want to encourage you to keep using your gifts of include networking in this, but giving back and just being a blessing and a help to others, in particular to those in your community. That seems super important to you. And I love that you're doing that. For those people who want to get in touch with you, what's the best place for people to find you?
They can check out my website, formosainvesting.com. On there, there's an ebook, a free ebook for them to download. It's about 20 pages long, short read. It just talks about my real estate journey and all the mistakes I made and how overcoming these obstacles created a path for me to become a syndicator. And then you can also check me out on all the social media links, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at Formosa Investing.
Perfect. That wraps up the show. I want to thank you, the listener, for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. We believe that high net worth individuals and their professional teams shouldn't struggle to find great options for deferring capital gains taxes. Don't let your failure to plan become your plan to fail, especially when the Deferred Sales Trust might be your very best way to exit your highly appreciated assets and defer capital gains taxes so that you can continue to grow your wealth. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and come back and listen to us next time. Thanks again, Jim, for being on the show.